Hey everybody, it's Elizabeth from Silvernest Homeschooling, mom of four, homeschooling the younger two, helping the other two through college. We are working today on our slightly late but still here October review for what we did, how it went, what we're working on to improve our November. And so I'm just going to go through each subject for each kid. The first thing I'm teaching at home is, I'm going to flip the camera. That's not nice to you. Okay, never mind. The first thing we're teaching at home with my seventh grader is world history. And so we have been going through a giant tome history book that she has with her currently, the history of the world. And so she was finishing up ancient history last month. So the wins are, we discovered this new Royal Diary series. I had got some books off Thrift Books. And this series, I know she loves history and history series, and so this one has been a hit. It's not easy. Some of the information, this one especially, I read this one, was really moving. So she's been reading in that time period. We also were supposed to read on top of her regular reading, and then she writes her a summary, which has been going well. But we also were reading the Trojan War and the Adventures of Odysseus. We only made it through 4 chapters of this because I'm supposed to be reading this out loud. And that just kind of indicates how that month went. She prefers to read to herself, but this one we agreed she wanted me to read. I wanted to read, but we just haven't gotten through it. I'm not sure if we'll continue because we moved on to the Middle Ages, or if we'll read just parts of it throughout the year. But for now, it's nice to know success and failure. She's getting enough done as far as like hours go because she finished not only this book, but 4 or 5 other books as well. So it's not that she's not doing her work, it's that I'm not doing my work. And that happens a lot with our family. We have great big goals, and sometimes the goals are too big, and sometimes I'm too lazy, guys. Like, I'm working on it. We also went back through, this is a little bit different time period, but she read all of the You Choose history books from this time period. Ancient Greece, Greek, that kind of thing. So this one's just an example, but she read there was an ancient Greece, ancient Rome, variety of things. So she went through those. And then now we're moving on into Middle Ages. And so she is starting in on Isabel and Elizabeth I, as well as her regular reading and a punch pile, which I will show you, of all the options that she has to read for Middle Ages. Her favorite genre is the Middle Ages. And so we're actually doing a early Middle Age and a late Middle Age for the next couple of months. So she can have time just to really dive in deeply. She's also building a bunch of Lego castles and playing around with different kinds of protection that they would have in those. All right, the other thing we are going over with my 7th grader is science. And so we finished our botany unit, which was her favorite ever, my favorite ever. And we actually ended up, she's funny because she keeps calling her new gather round curriculum energy botany because she really did love it that much. This one, she's decided she wants to read it to herself. So every day she reads the teacher's guide, and then she goes and does the hands-on activity. We are working on, since we're already covering history and English and math and other subjects, I do cross out some of the assignments, but anything that I think is actually useful even in those subjects I keep, and it keeps her giving me some handwriting practice, spelling practice, as well as new information for her science for 7th grade. So she's doing fine. It's going fine. She's learning to slow down. Details seem to be the thing that we're working on this year. And then on top of that, we are also playing some board games and doing some science experiments. That's what these represent. We played Subatomic. That was good. We have been playing with some friends, and then they had to take a 2-week break. So we spent that time really making sure we had our energy done well and made sure that we were caught up on everything that we needed to do, as well as play some games. We also did a science experiment once they were able to come back about microwaves. And so we actually used these friction markers to figure out how heat works in the microwave, trying different experiments that I had seen online, having them succeed and fail, which has been the most useful, I think, science experiment that we've done. We scribbled on a piece of paper. Everybody learned how to use the friction, and they all came with the hypothesis that it was heat that made the ink disappear. And so once we colored everything, we decided to put it in the microwave to see what parts of the microwave waves, because that's something that we were learning about in energy, would make the pens disappear or not disappear. And it turns out they would not disappear until we put the glass plate underneath the spinet. So we're not sure if they were down too low. The paper was down too low. We have a few. So anyway, we went through all of our time and then some, playing with different things, putting it in the freezer to see if it could come back, that kind of stuff. Putting it by the fire to see if the fire would make it disappear. And we had so much fun, and we're still so curious, and we still have so many more questions that next time we do this, we're actually going to do it again. So also the guy online used friction pens, not markers. So I'm wondering if that made a difference. And so again, back to science, trying to do it. We also filled out our charts on our guesses, hypothesis is what we used, that kind of thing. Hypothesis. Yeah. So that's going fine. I would say that we are pushing through. We're getting things done. She has a reward at the end of this unit. She loves to make soap. So she's going to be able to get we have some pourable soap that she will get access to as her reward for finishing this unit. And so she's motivated to get it done on her own. Doesn't really want to wait for me. And that's good because I'm in work season. I have a small business at home and it's seasonal. And this is kind of my seasonal time where I'm like working super hard to get that done. So it's great that she's independent, wants to take that over. Final thing that we are teaching the 7th grader is French, breaking the French barrier. And this is the 3rd student that has used this curriculum. However, the first 2 did it together, and my husband did this book with them. And one of the children had already done 3 years of practice on a computer, and the other one hadn't done any and hated it. And so I thought that it was because he just didn't like French and learning languages. But going through this with a completely brand new student, I can see where there's some challenges. And I'm not sure if because I'm taking her through it in 7th grade versus 9th grade, that's where we're running into it. So I actually redid an entire schedule that I can take you through if you want it on how we're making this work for her. It is working. She has aha moments that are great. She is really good at comprehension and at communication in French with her words, but she's learning the grammar and the basics. And this is, again, teaching her how to handwrite and slow down to get those accent aigus and all the different things that she needs. If it's a good thing that I am here because I have had some French, and it's also a good thing that my daughter is here to have French. I think if I was using this with an older student, some of this information might click a little better, but I also think the program is designed to go back over and over again over the same information. And I think my daughter thought it was a mastery move on, like she does with her other classes. Like this, you just fill it out and keep going. This one, you circle back, circle back, circle back, circle back. So I made her a paper that actually allows her to circle back. And then we added in some French for Kids readers. These are like the Bob books, but for French. And so she reads some of these. So in this one, c'est un cadeau mystère. And we have the first and the second levels. And then she's also reading a intro to French, beginner French, where she's like a few paragraphs and then she has to answer questions. And we're using that to kind of as a tester. So she has a balance between the test and this book, which can be, they give it everything, but it's just so much information in one shot for 7th grade. So we're helping her by also giving her the ability to read and then demonstrate her comprehension, because that is also extremely important part of French. And this does include that, just it doesn't test on it. So yeah, that's kind of what we're adding in, as well as our French games. She's been playing a lot of Spot It in French. That game is fantastic for confidence and building things, and she's much faster than I am. I know the information, but she's just fast, and so she feels really good about herself when she wins. But, you know, learning languages is hard for me, and so she thought it wouldn't be difficult for her. I'm sorry to say, but, you know, she hits the snags and then she pushes through. So we are winning. It doesn't feel like it all the time, but we are winning. Sometimes that's the way languages go. All right, so that's 7th grade at home. She's taking math and English and PE at school along with guitar. So she practices her guitar and those things. So we're hybrid program. If you didn't know, if you haven't been around for a while, we take classes through a public school program, and they provide us with some finances to be able to buy. So our French was purchased by them, and also our English. So we pulled our daughter in the middle of October from English at the hybrid school and started teaching her at home. I'm not going to show you her work, but this is our essentials in writing. And the switch was a little awkward, as always. Felt a little overwhelming at first just because it came in late in the question of how much do we try to catch up and how much do we just jump in and go to the end of the year was always a question. So this is a lit and writing program. And so the information that she's going through right now with the grammar side has been a little more challenging for her. She went from too easy, this is boring, to now this is too hard in her head. And so we're still trying to find her sweet spot. I don't know that it's actually that hard, or she's just like, again, I want to get through it and move on to the things that interest me. But she is learning and she is finding her sweet spot, and she's managing to handle her workload much better now that it is actually at home where she can control it. And also just the fact that she's actually learning and having to work hard at something is good for her and her future. So there we are. Essentials in Writing Level 9. It's going fine. She's not a huge fan. She's a great writer. She's an awesome writer. So this is helping her with figuring that out. And then I'm just needing to go through and figure out like how much to eliminate in order to make sure that she gets a full curriculum, but doesn't do more than she needs to do for 1 year since she started at the school. All right, the other thing that we are doing with her is history, and we are using Knotgrass and world history for her. And so this is going fine. She's doing just fine in it, and she's reading the other assigned books that I've been giving her. Those are not her favorite, and they do tend to be the last thing she does, but she's passing her quizzes just fine, her exams just fine. Information, learning, a lot of it's been about the Bible, so it hasn't been super hard. We're just leaving that section and moving into other parts of world history now. And so it's more new information, so for her that's more interesting. But not her favorite subject, so she does it, moves on. She gets 5 lessons done a week and the exams, and that's all she needs to do, and then we move on. So it doesn't all have to be giant, amazing, fantasticness. There's other things in her life that she's doing that she's excited about, and sometimes you just have to get through it. And so that's what this is. I know that's not encouraging to some of you because you work really hard to make sure that your kids try to get a fun thing, and I am all about fun. I'm all about board games. I have probably 30 board games that fall into this time period that this child and this child are working in, and we haven't done any of them because they just wanted to get their work done and go and do their own things. And so there's a balance, right, between making it sweet and making it good, and then just following the lead of your child and knowing that you have set a standard. This is the standard right here. She has to do this. And she's doing it. So the rest of it would be helpful to help some of the information stick better, I think. But if she's on a time limit and she's decided that she just wants to get her work done and move on to the things that she's interested in, that is a fair 9th grade situation. So that's where we are, and it is going fine. There has been some stellar, amazing, fantastic, beautiful moments. I'm getting so much time with my kids. There's a lot of really good questions, really good. We're doing a lot of things together in the lit side as she was finding her sea legs. But I would say that it's very much like by the middle school, high school, you're more involved than you thought and less involved than you thought. And it's a really strange one because like even my daughter who's in college, I'm helping her with her tests or exams, not exams as much as her writing, and helping her edit her work and helping her think through the assignments and what do you think the teacher's asking, and putting it back on her. Well, what do you think the teacher's asking? And just a lot of those kinds of conversations that you can't schedule. There's no scheduling. It's just sort of ebbing and flowing and being flexible to ride the wave along with them, with the work that they have and the expectations that they have, and then holding them to the accountability of what you know they can handle, and learning when to give them grace, but also learning when to say, hey, you guys can grow in this. And that just takes a lot of leaning into demonstrating myself, like doing my work that I need to do. Sometimes if they start whining and complaining about too much, I'll actually go clean something while they're working so that they see I'm working or they're working, or I'll get out my work that I'm doing at home that doesn't, my computer, and I'll sit next to them and do my work so they can see that we push through. And that can really help them without me necessarily just sitting there twiddling my thumbs waiting for them to ask me a question. So I'm present, I'm available. I try to pick something I can bounce in and out of, like folding laundry, but that can be really useful in this time and age. So yes, we are done with October. We're into November, and I will be talking to you soon. I hope you are getting ready for a wonderful Thanksgiving break, and that you are doing well in your classes, in your school, with your kids. You can do it, Mama. You can do it, Dad. We are here for you. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I'm just a mom who's trying to share what I've been through so that you make your journey a little easier. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.